Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Apologies, that's just it telling me that it's started to record it. So this will allow you to kind of look at it in further detail afterwards. So yeah, thanks for joining us today. I'm going to talk a little bit about really the careers that are available to people that do go on and study chemistry. My background is really, I'm the careers advisor here at the Royal Society of Chemistry. So with my colleagues, we actually give careers advice to our members really throughout the world. We have 50,000 members, whole range of different industries, whole range of different career stages. So we've got a really good insight into some of the careers that people that do study chemistry go on to do. Some of them are chemistry related, some of them aren't. We're going to give you a bit of an insight into some of those today, and then we're also going to finish off really talking about some of the different industries and sectors they go into, and then we're going to finish off really by looking at the Gatsby career benchmarks that some of you might have heard about. This is really, I'll tell you a bit more about those, what they are, and also go through some of the support that the Royal Society of Chemistry has available that can help you to support to deliver them really throughout your school. So just start off really kind of talking about the careers from chemistry. It's a lot easier to kind of say what you can't do with chemistry than what you can do. Everyone says, "Oh, what jobs can you do with chemistry?" That's a really hard question to ask. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have as chemistry educators, people with an interest in careers. There's just so many options available to people. So I've got some of them listed up on the screen there. The obvious ones, things like pharmaceuticals, so designing and developing new medicines. The environmental side, that's becoming more and more important. You've got environmental cleanup from our kind of industrial past. Big thing down in Cornwall, I know, with your tin mines, but we've also got environmental protection going forward as well. The energy industry, that's kind of traditional fossil fuels, but also the emerging alternatives coming through. Battery storage is going to be a next big thing for a lot of people. Lots of renewable, you're seeing a lot more solar panels going up on roof, but they're kind of limited until we can start to find ways to store that energy. Material science, another really interesting emerging one. Not just nanomaterials, but also sort of nanomachines, sort of nanomolecules that can self-assemble. We're now getting into things like flexible technology, wearable tech. That's all dependent on developing new materials that can be used to kind of integrate that tech. Some of the more kind of traditional but very important industries, you've got the food industry, making sure food is safe and tasty. I've talked to chemists that work, for example, on things like Pringles. They've actually kind of worked out that the shape of the Pringle has been maximised to take in more oxygen into your mouth when you open it wide, to make it taste better. Forensics has been a popular one. That's not as popular as it has been in the past. There's much less CSI on TV now, but it is still an area that does attract some interest. You've also got the sort of fast-moving consumer goods, so things like cosmetics, household, personal care. Again, they're kind of emerging. Colour chemistry as well is an interesting one. So that could be anything from paint to dyes that are used in pretty much anything that gets manufactured. So a really wide range of chemists to work for, that you can work in with chemistry. I've put that up really just to kind of make you aware, so that if you do have children that are interested in chemistry, that are asking that question, or like chemistry, what can I do with it? This is really kind of to help you as a starting point to kind of help them explore their options a bit more. Another way to think about it is actually to think about the actual process of manufacturing from chemicals. So this is really kind of the process that a lot of industries go through. So you basically start off with raw materials, so anything from sort of petrochemicals that are extracted, mines and materials being extracted from the ground. Then you start to add value, and this is where kind of, particularly here in the UK, this is where our strength in the industry is really coming into. You're starting to kind of develop fine chemicals that have real uses and applications. You're also then starting to look at, okay, taking those building blocks and actually applying them with uses, so things like pharmaceuticals, plastics. That's still important, even though it's getting a bit of a hammering at the moment, but looking for alternatives to that. So all those kind of environments all those sectors that do use chemistry, use it in lots of different ways. But there's also the kind of industries that sit alongside those kind of traditional things that people think of about the chemical industry. There are jobs in things like analytical chemistry, where you're actually developing the technology and the instruments that are being used. Engineering within the sort of manufacturing, there's a big overlap there with chemical engineering as well. Lots of jobs in distribution, so how do you actually get those products out to the customers? Consultancy is also kind of growing, so what's tending to happen is a lot of scientists build up a lot of expertise over their careers, over their lifetimes. That has real value to a wide range of people, so a lot of people are starting to kind of set up themselves as a kind of one-man lone trainer consultancy. There's also a drive within a lot of the larger global companies to actually outsource a lot of their contract research. So it used to be done that you'd have companies like the big pharma companies like ICI would have research and development in-house. Because science is now getting so complicated, so technical, so specialist, actually a lot of those companies, rather than having all that expertise in-house, they actually go to the companies that have expertise in the particular area that they need to find out about, so that they work a lot with consultancies, with contract research organisations. Discovery, that's just simply developing, identifying, synthesizing new molecules, and then seeing if they have any uses or applications. Another big area is the kind of environment in which those companies operate. So regulation, a number of industries that I mentioned on the previous slide are heavily regulated. The food industry, the water industry, pharmaceuticals. There's a lot of regulations that make sure that their products are safe, that their products are effective. So there's a lot of interaction between the companies that produce those products and the regulatory bodies as well. Intellectual property is another one, where it's a lot easier to take a chemist and turn him into a lawyer or a patent lawyer than it is to take a lawyer and turn him into a chemist. So it's a bit niche. There's only probably about sort of 2,000 patent attorneys here in the UK, but it is very well paid and it's very interesting as well. And then there are sort of governing bodies and regulatory bodies as well. So again, this is just to really kind of highlight the wide range of people that we interact with here at the Royal Society of Chemistry, and that do employ chemists. And of course, that's not including all the jobs that aren't related to chemistry at all. So about a third of chemistry graduates do go into jobs that are not specifically related to their chemistry. So they work in sort of things like financial services, data science. So there are lots of opportunities kind of beyond the traditional industries as well. This slide is really taken from a report done by one of those consultancy companies, actually, a company called A.T. Kearney. They basically looked at what the chemical industry in Europe might look like in the future. And they've actually analysed kind of what the trends that are affecting industry and production in the UK. They call them mega trends. They're down the left-hand side. And from that, they've also identified areas that are going to be areas for growth. So I think if you are talking to students about the careers they want to go into, emphasising them the importance of picking areas that are going to be growing, that are going to be expanding, that have a lot of potential for growth in the future is a really strong idea to suggest to them. So you've got things like alternative feedstocks. Urban mining is an interesting one. That's really looking at our kind of sites that have been used for industrial use in the past. They've quite often got a lot of high levels of heavy metals and other valuable elements within them. Nutrition is becoming more advanced. I mentioned as well the environmental technology, so clean air and water becoming more and more important. Treating waste, recycling it, trying to aim for the circular economy. Energy storage I mentioned, and also the alternative energy sectors as well. So all these sectors really employ chemists in a really wide range of ways, and it's a really kind of exciting time to be a chemist. This is the question we always get asked, what is chemistry jobs in chemistry going to pay well? But they do pay very well. Graduates have a very high employment rate for chemistry graduates, higher than a lot of other subjects. The starting salaries for chemistry graduates do tend to be higher than the graduate average. I put the range in there. That's really kind of broad, as you might expect, but that reflects the kind of variances you get between different industries and different sectors. So the environmental sector, for example, might pay a bit less than pharmaceuticals or oil and gas. But I would say to your students, don't just think about the kind of finance, that's important, but also be thinking about jobs that mean something to you, that have meaning, that kind of align with your values. And that's becoming, I think, more and more important for the generations that are coming through. Interesting in chemistry, so double the average within chemistry go on to further study after graduation. So just to give you some figures, there's about sort of 4,000, 4,500 chemistry graduates every year. About a third of those go on to do a PhD. So that is quite high, but that reflects the kind of value that a PhD can have. A lot of the R&D roles, a lot of those development roles that I mentioned earlier, they're now starting to look for a PhD rather than just a degree. There are still research jobs available for graduates, but quite often you get better career progression, better options if you do have a PhD as well. Having said that, there are a wide range of vocational routes available as well, sort of apprenticeships really from advanced higher degree apprenticeships. I think you're going to see more of those at the moment. There are relatively few of them at the moment. Throughout the whole of science, there's only about 1,000 kind of science-based apprenticeships at the moment every year. I think that figure is set to grow over time as well. But it is a really good option for people, especially things like the degree apprenticeships, where you are working, you're gaining work experience, but you do come out of that process with a degree as well. So that's just a quick potted history overview of some of the careers available to chemists. Obviously, there's a lot more I could say. If you have a look at our careers website, which I've stupidly not included in the slide, but the website URL for that is just rsc.org /careers/future. That's our Future in Chemistry site. I talked about that, a bit more information, but it's a great resource to get more ideas about the careers that are available. So I'm going to set that aside a little bit and move a little bit more in towards the kind of good careers guidance, what the Gatsby benchmarks are, how we can support them, get you thinking about how you might want to use them within your school, within your subject teaching. And again, this is something that if you do want more information and advice on, we've not got a lot of time to go through it now, but if you did want more advice, have a chat with Kate, or come back and talk to me at the end of things as well. So that there are 8 Gatsby benchmarks, and the idea behind these are really to kind of generate a list of benchmarks that a school can use to assess its careers and enterprise provision. So you may not be aware, but schools now have a statutory duty to deliver career guidance to their pupils. That's moved away from the kind of local authorities to kind of rest with the schools themselves now. So the Gatsby Institute, they came up with, they did a lot of research into careers provision around the world, and they took that best practice and kind of developed these benchmarks that the schools can use. So what are they? Well, there's 8 of them. So the first is to have a stable careers program. That's really to kind of make sure that schools recognise the value of careers, have it embedded within the whole school, within subjects, within different departments, that the senior leadership team buys into it. And actually, there's a lot of evidence that giving students really good careers advice, giving them exposure to aspirations of careers they can go into, that can really help kind of with attainment as well. So it can really help with your outcome data. It can help with your exam targets as well. Learning from career and labour market information is the second one. So the emphasis there is really on making sure that people can find out what they need to find out to make informed decisions. Addressing the needs of pupils. So it's got to be personal, it's got to resonate, it's got to talk to the individual. Linking curriculum learning to careers, that's really important. Can you find a way to link the stuff that you're teaching in your classes and show that it's relevant for careers? And we got some information on that in a bit. Encounters with employers and employees, so that could be anything from inviting people out, sending students out on work experience, bringing people or past students in to talk to them. Experience of workplace kind of links to that as well. Encounters with further and higher education, so that could be university open days, it could be college open days, it could be sending students to UCAS events. And again, personal guidance, so it's got to be one-to-one with the individual to make sure that it's personal to them and it's relevant to them. So that's an overview of them. The RSC, we don't have resources to help with all of those. The ones that we can support directly are really these. So, it's half of them. It's a good start. We are doing a lot more work in this area going forward as well. So I think there will be more resource and more help coming online in the future. But this really just kind of highlights the support that we can offer. So gives you an overview of what's actually involved in those benchmarks rather than just the top level. So for benchmark 2, pupils, parents access good quality information about study options and labour market opportunities. Support of an informed advisor to make the use of that information. Teachers should link curriculum learning with careers, so particularly for STEM subject and careers, chemistry teachers highlight the range of relevance to STEM subjects for the wide range of career pathways. So again, that's something hopefully I covered earlier. Really look at opportunities to learn from employers about work and employment and the skills that are valued in the workplace. So it's not just about your qualification, it's your personal attributes, your employability skills as well. And also get experience of workplace, so what it's like to actually go and work, what do these places look like, what's it like working there. That can really help them to kind of make decisions and explore what options that they do want to pursue further. So just going into a bit more detail about those benchmarks. So benchmark 2, the career and labour market information. What resources do we have to kind of help with that? So there's 3 of them. So the RSC, we produce a report on employment and job satisfaction among chemists. We survey all of our members. So that's a survey of about 7,000 that normally respond to it. It includes salaries by qualification, by sector, and earning potential. So we don't just look at what your median is now. We also we're able to track the salary profile of a range of industries and sectors over time. So it's kind of linked by age and area of responsibility, as well as the kind of qualification and sector they're working in. So that's a really good resource that you as teachers, if your members, can access to get a bit more information. We've produced a couple of booklets. So one's at school, one's called After School. This is kind of just booklets that you can request for your school, and it just provides information about that summarises a lot of the information, goes into a bit more detail about what I've covered. So that's really if you're having careers events, if you're having maybe department open days, you can request that from us, and your students can take that away. They can look at it with their parents. Your careers staff can access it as well. Also within Education in Chemistry, which is one of our magazines, there's a lot of news analysis of career-related info. There's sort of information about trends and the kind of career landscape in there as well. So that, I think, is freely accessible online as well. So that's a really good starting point. We are doing a lot more of that. We are doing a lot more work now where we're actually talking more with employers, actually gaining more specific labour market information in particular sectors as well. So that job never stops for us. That we're always doing more and more of that. Number 4, linking curriculum learning to careers. This is maybe the stuff that's maybe most relevant for you folks. There's a couple of things that we have. We have a number of career profiles of real chemists within our Future in Chemistry website. What we've done is we've worked with some teachers. We've actually gone through and we've linked those profiles directly to exam board topics at A level, down to the kind of unit and topic level. So what you can do is you can actually go through, pick out your exam board, pick out the subjects that you want to kind of be teaching, and that can then help you look and bring up a profile of someone that uses some of that teaching in their career. So that's a really good way to, and some of those are profiles that are video clips, so you can show a kind of 5-minute video clip maybe of someone kind of talking about their career and how they use that particular aspect of chemistry within their career. We've also got within the Learn Chemistry Partnership, which obviously Kate is heavily involved in, a number of events. The education coordinator consultations does with teachers, so events like today. And again, there's lots more support that Kate and the other education coordinators can tap into to help you with that. So do make the most of that. Obviously, you've attended the conference today, so thanks for doing that. But there's going to be a lot more opportunities to kind of do that going forward as well. The next benchmark, number 5, encounters with employers and employees. This is one that we are going to be doing a lot more of. We've started really building a strong relationship with STEM Learning. STEM Learning run the STEM Ambassador Scheme, and what we found out working with them is at the moment we have over 800 of our members are actually registered with them as STEM ambassadors to actually go into school. We want to boost that. We want to get more of our members volunteering to do that. We're also developing resources that those ambassadors can use to kind of take into their school as well. So do be on the lookout for that. Our outreach fund also supports careers events, industry open days. So if you do want to put a careers event together kind of around chemistry, I'd certainly recommend you take a look at the outreach fund and see what sort of financial support is available. Kate is a much better place to talk about number 3 than I am, but do have a conversation with her, find out about her networks, what opportunities exist local to you as well. There's a number of local section events, so these are groups of our members that are organised geographically. We have a really strong active group in the southwest. They quite often organise events with schools. So again, Kate can kind of give you an insight into what's going on there as well. So do keep an eye out for, build that relationship with Kate, find out what opportunities are available down in Cornwall, and do kind of make the most of them. Experience workplaces as well. Again, this is an area that we are starting to do more of. We are starting to kind of highlight internships. There's not as many of those as we would like. We do want to be developing more of them, but quite often they're done through things like the British Science Association, which does the Crest Learning, a Crest Award scheme that you might have heard of. That's a really good way for your students to get internship volunteers over summer. T-levels, they're still in development at the moment, but they are going to require work experience a part of that, and again there are likely to be those within science and chemistry, so we'll be keeping an eye on that. So Nuffield and the Careers Enterprise Company, they both offer guidance on how to kind of make the most of these opportunities, so I would check out that if you are interested in doing it. So this slide is really just to kind of give you an overview of what we've got to offer. So the Future in Chemistry, that's our careers website. As I mentioned earlier, it's just rsc.org/careers/future. Do take a look at that. And at the moment, we're splitting our activities into the events, the print resource, and the online resources as well. So do make a note of that. Do check out what we have got to offer. How do you do that? Well, you can get in touch with obviously Kate, the school's outreach. We do also have our outreach team that can help you with the outreach fund. There's a number of teaching resources. There's the website on the side there, and obviously engagement via Kate as well. So do get in touch if you need any more advice about any of that. This is my contact details. If there's anything more specifically about careers that you wanted to kind of ask about, by all means get in touch with me. I'm always happy to kind of field questions from teachers. We quite often get queries coming from teachers, from parents, from students as well. So do get in touch if you need any more help or advice. Thanks very much for listening. I've pretty much finished. I'm going to throw it out over to you. Does anyone have any questions, any thoughts or comments?
Okay, this is when it goes a bit quiet. Does anybody at this stage have any questions for Robert? Yeah, just passing the microphone.
Yeah.
Hi there. I work in a 11 to 16 school where quite a low proportion of students end up going to university.
Yeah.
So what advice can you give to attract them to get into a career of chemistry via a different route rather than university?
Yeah, of course. So I would really kind of say that there are apprenticeships available. I think you are quite often dependent on the industry and what opportunities are available locally. So I think my advice with them to be would actually, work with them, work with your careers advisors at the school, find out what opportunities there are kind of local to you to maybe get started. There are apprenticeships. There's the National Apprenticeship Service that would list basically all the apprenticeship opportunities that are available. They can also look at kind of FE colleges as well. Quite often they have vocational courses, not just in chemistry, but also more applied science. They quite often lead to entry-level jobs within scientific organisations, companies, and it can be technician roles. That can be all those industries that I mentioned earlier. We quite often focus on those graduate roles, those kind of research and development roles. There are also a lot of kind of entry-level roles that you don't need a degree for to get into those industries as well. A lot of the technician workforce is becoming older as well, so they are very keen to be recruiting new people into those sectors as well. So I think there are opportunities there. I would definitely say, get in touch with your local FE college, find out what courses are available. They do quite often have vocational courses. They can often also be kind of access courses as well. So they can be courses that, if they've not attained as well as maybe they'd hoped or not done as well as they can, sometimes that kind of learning can come a bit later on. So quite often they can get access to those courses that can lead to other opportunities there. But there are a wide range of apprenticeships from level kind of 3, 4, right up to kind of level 6 that can lead into kind of scientific and chemistry related roles. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're coming to the end of the session now. So if people do have additional questions for Robert, do take note of his contact details. So Robert, thank you for giving up your time and to talk at our conference today. And I believe you may get an odd email from delegates here if they've got any further questions.
That's absolutely fine. What I've also done is I've also been recording this as well. So what we can do is we can get that uploaded onto YouTube as well. So if you did want to read it back, if you want to get access to the slides, obviously just drop us an email and we can make all the content available to you after today as well. You can go back, you can share with your schools, with your careers teams as well. Okay.
Okay, and thank you very much, and goodbye.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Goodbye.